What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Words to My Face. My name is Brian. With me, as always, producer extraordinaire Brendan.
Yo.
And we are the one and only home of the Chewbacca chainsaws. Oh, you're throwing in extra ones in there, huh? You think you can throw in extra sound effects?
Yeah, well, now someone fought back.
Yeah,
But
well, and
anyway.
if it looks like today I haven't slept in a week, it's probably because, I really haven't. Work sucks.
Poor Brian.
Work sucks. But, yeah, so today we got our sports show coming at you today. Have a couple new things. We do have a brand new theme song from the group Tuesday Night Special, and that will be coming out next Tuesday night on our special Tuesday night show because I will be traveling back from Boston to the D.C. area on Monday, and after 12 hours in a car, I really don't think you guys want to see me in front of this webcam.
I mean, I don't want to see you in front of a webcam anyway, so...
Oh, that's just a low blow, man. Low blow. But hey,
yeah,
what can you
well, you deserved it.
But so today, we do have our sports show going on, and if you notice me looking over to the side every now and then, that's because that's where my TV is. And the Washington Wizards are down by 3 against the Indiana Pacers, so they're hanging on for dear life, and, we'll never know. But so today's stories, we've got coming at you, Steve Kerr. You might have heard of him. Legendary sharpshooter from the Chicago Bulls. You might have heard of him. He's just signed on to be the new head coach of Golden State. Talk a little bit about that. Of course, we're going to catch you up with the round 2 of the NBA playoffs because it's pretty fun. There's only two of the series are done. 2 of them still going strong. So catch you up on those. And then I got you a nice little top 5 list of why Johnny Manziel was going to fail in Cleveland. And if you don't believe me, you will after I give you my top 5 list because it's irrefutable evidence. You really can't refute what I'm going to say. That's what irrefutable means. Yeah. Sorry, I'm not a big Johnny Manziel fan. And then I got a couple MLB notes to go in there. I figured we'd do it a 3-sport type thing today, so I'll throw a couple more things at you. But let's start off, like we do every sports week, with the Chewbacca Chainsaw of the Week award. Yeah, and I guess you're going to give the evil look every time you do that, but okay. But so this week...
Why not? This
was actually tweeted to us by listener Luke Skywalks. Follow him on Twitter, @Luke Skywalks, so thank you very much, Luke Skywalks. We appreciate it. But so he tweeted me this story, and I was like, yeah, it's going in as the Chewbacca Chainsaw Award, and that is Dylan Fonsnatch, Fosnatch, for National, Fosnachcht, however you pronounce that. You win the Chewbacca Chainsaw Award of this week. He is a high school pitcher out of Washington State, and recently he pitched a game where he went 14 full innings of pitching 194 pitches. That is amazing. Now, that is really reckless by his coach to keep him out there because after about another 6 pitches, his arm probably would have fallen off. I mean, just literally just fallen straight off. I mean, no ligaments attached, bone straight out. Wouldn't have worked. So, hey, he made it through 194. So, you get our Chewbacca Chainsaw of the Week award.
Whoa. Does he get another?
Yeah. This is the actual award. The other one was just the sound effect to announce the award.
So we do like false awards and then we give real awards?
No, you got to intro the award and then outro the award with the same sound effect.
All right.
Let's just give him the sound effect. So there you go. Good job, Dylan Fosnacht. I don't know how to pronounce your name, dude. Sorry. But let's move it right along and get into a story that's actually pretty interesting, and that is Steve Kerr has recently signed a 5-year, $25 million deal to coach the Golden State Warriors. Now, they had recently fired Mark Jackson, who I still don't understand why they fired him. He just took a team that hadn't been really a legit team for a long time, a very young team right now, took them to the playoffs 2 years in a row, and both years, last year he made a little more of a splash, but this year still, he was playing against a great Clippers team, so bounced out in the first round. You can't really hate on him for that, but 2 50-year 50-win years in a row, and they fire this guy, which is just, remarkable, because if he was in the East, he would have been the third best team in the league. So it's kind of crazy that they fired him, but it's not that crazy that they brought in Steve Kerr. Now, Steve Kerr, you might know him from being the legendary sharpshooter from the Chicago Bulls. He was just always there when Michael Jordan needed him to. And recently he's been on TNT doing the color commentary for a lot of the playoff games that you've been watching. So he's going to find his home in Golden State. Now, this isn't why it's the big story. The big story is because his old mentor, coach, Phil Jackson, recently hired as the president of basketball operations up in New York for the Knicks, was recruiting him very hard. I mean, very, very hard. For the past month, he's been mentioning this guy's name as the next head coach of the New York Knicks, and it fell through. So, Zen Master, you didn't work your magic. I don't know what happened, buddy.
That's actually kind of strange. He didn't get a job with the New York Knicks, or he didn't take it. But he went to Golden State. I mean, Knicks is huge.
Yeah, I mean, they suck, but they're huge. I mean, do you want to go to a crappy team, or do you want to go to a good team? And I think he picked the right choice in going to a good team. Now, also, Steve Kerr, I'm sure this weighed on his mind. He's got 2 kids going to California universities, so, I mean, I'm sure he wanted to be a little closer instead of on the opposite coast. So that probably played into it a little bit. But I just find it interesting that he was the big name. I didn't really ever see, I mean, he could shoot well. I didn't really ever see where the coaching came in, but he was actually pretty coveted. And we're seeing a little bit of a trend, how people are going after these players or former players. Like last year, Jason Kidd retires, then becomes the Brooklyn Nets, I should say, head coach the next year. I mean, and they did all right. I mean, they made the playoffs, so you can't hate too much. But it's very interesting. You also have players like Derek Fisher. He's still playing. He's still playing for Oklahoma City, who's still in the playoffs. Everybody keeps throwing his name around as a possible head coach for the Knicks now. And who else is there? And then you have John Stockton. The Jazz are courting him. So we're looking at it's kind of a trend. Everybody's going back for former players from their organizations, trying to bring them back. Especially Phil Jackson. So, I mean, it'll be interesting. Now, I can understand John Stockton. He is just the greatest point guard that has ever played the game. And now, if you want to argue with me on that, I'm going to clarify by saying Magic Johnson, great, not a true point guard. No, at 6'9", you're not a true point guard. I'm sorry. You're just not. I mean, there's been great point guards out there, but these are more point guards who play the point but aren't a true point guard. So, John Stockton, he's the career leader in assists and steals, and so you can't take it away from him. Those are the 2 most important stats for a point guard, and he was the record holder. So, yeah.
Yeah. I remember when around the time that he retired, apparently the second most said phrase in the NBA playoffs was Stockton to Malone. So,
yeah, I mean, you had a legendary duo going right there for about 20 years together, and actually, I think it's still one of the top 10 most said sports sayings of all time, Stockton to Malone. So, I mean, he probably had something like a couple thousand assists just to Malone by himself, and Malone definitely prospered with his career during that. Too bad they couldn't bring home a championship, but you win some and you lose some.
They made it to a championship. But
they made it to 2.
Not quite.
They made it to 2 in a row in the 97-98 seasons. They just happened to run into the buzzsaw that was Michael Jordan. So, I mean, what can you do? Michael Jordan wasn't going to lose to anybody. I really don't care who you put on any other team.
Yeah, that's really what it was. I mean, the Bulls in the 90s. I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah, nothing at all. So good luck to you, Steve Kerr. I still think you're kind of crazy, Golden State, for firing Mark Jackson after he did a great job, but I'm sure that guy will land on his feet somewhere. Who knows? Maybe the New York Knicks?
That would be kind of funny, actually, if that's how things.
That would be. They just flip-flopped. Okay, we were going to get him, but we'll take you now. So that could be a thing. You never know. But so that's a little bit. Now I'm going to break up the NBA news just a little bit. We'll talk about round 2 in just a minute. But I wanted to just throw in some MLB notes. Nothing too spectacular. But we talked about this guy in a previous show, and that was Masahiro Tanaka. Tanaka, I believe that's his name. He's the the pitching wonder kid, the Japanese wonder pitcher from New York. And now this guy was signed for some outrageous $155 million contract, and that was not even including the $50 million the Yankees had to pay just to talk to the guy. And he started out 6-0. So that's not too bad. He just pitched his first shutout. I believe it was about 8-inning shutout, and so he's already that many shutouts. I'm afraid we're going to start seeing, instead of, like in the 60s, you had the British invasion of rock and roll bands, we're about to start seeing the Japanese invasion of pitchers, because then there's also another pitcher out there, Yu Darvish, who's pitching very, very well for the Texas Rangers. I believe, he just was a third of an inning away from a no-hitter, and David Ortiz from the Boston Red Sox knocked him out of it. So, I mean, these Japanese pitchers are doing really well. After the debacle that was Daisuke Matsuzaka for the Boston Red Sox, it just seems like everybody coming out of Japan has been gold. So, it looks like this might be a trend for the future.
Yeah, we're starting to see, too, like, greater recognition. I mean, people have known that Japan likes baseball, plays baseball for quite some time, but it's definitely coming more to the forefront of just how big baseball is in Japan and how good the players are coming out of there, because of it is a big deal there. Baseball has a decently large reach around the world, but not huge in most places, but definitely Japan.
It's not soccer.
Yeah, but definitely in Japan it's huge, and Cuba still pretty big, right?
Cuba, Latin American countries, South American countries. Again, it's not going to overtake soccer any of those places, but it's pretty big. Now, if cricket wasn't such a thing in like India and that area of the world, I bet you baseball would be the number one sport there too. So, I mean, we call it the American pastime because we've all kind of moved past it. I mean, it's still, I'd say, the third largest sport in the world. I mean, in the country, but it's not quite what it used to be. So it's good to see that the rest of the world is still keeping the fire alive. I mean, not saying that we've ever let go of the fire. It's still here. This is where all the best players in the world come to play because, well, number one, they get paid more than anywhere else. But, that's our thing. That's how we roll. Yeah, it's our sport.
And like I was saying, with Japan, they do play football somewhat. They do have basketball, the other big sports that we think of in that group. But baseball, as far as I'm aware, is by far the biggest of them there right now, of those sports. And I think it should be even bigger than soccer there as well. Like, I mean, soccer's a big deal during the World Cup, but other than that, I think baseball's a bigger deal. Oh, yeah.
Baseball in Japan is definitely bigger than soccer. So, I mean, they're trying to... And what's funny is, like, I just heard this story about a soccer stadium where Japanese people are and I guess Chinese and Korean people, they all kind of hate each other. So they're actually racist against each other. And there were some racist comments made about a Korean soccer player for one of these teams. And so as punishment, they didn't let any fans of either team into a game. And like there's a 60,000 seat stadium that was totally empty while these two teams in Japan played a game because they were punishing them for making racist comments. So, But,
well, I mean, at least they're taking action against that. So.
I mean, that's pretty strong action too. You definitely make sure your fans don't do that stuff again. So, yeah, and that's really all I want to talk about with baseball. I just want to throw that out there. I like talking about Japan. I don't know. It's a cool place to go. I've never been, but I'm sure it's cool.
Hey, maybe some Japanese airlines want to fly us out there. We'll do a special on Japan, maybe some cultural centers, whatever.
At Words for My Face on Twitter. Of course, you can always comment down below. Like and subscribe if you haven't. Yeah,
especially if you're a Japanese airline, because what better thing to subscribe to for a Japanese airline than Words for My Face?
We will plug you every show. I promise you that. So
just for subscribing or for actually giving us some tickets? I think we need those tickets in hand.
Well, tickets would be nice. If you subscribe, I'll still plug you. I mean, come on. Come on, we got what? 7? Let's go for 8. Hey!
Yeah!
But yeah, so yeah, that's the baseball story. And I know I kind of threw that out of the order we normally do things, but I kind of wanted to break up the basketball a little bit. But talking about breaking up the basketball, let's jump right back into it. And that is because round 2 is going on. Now you have the Heat, who have just not swept, but it was 4-1 series against Brooklyn. Now, I saw that coming. Most people, I guess, said they didn't, but yeah, it was pretty obvious that those Brooklyn people were not going to. They're just too old. Paul Pierce, you're over the hill. Kevin Garnett, you're over the hill. Not saying that these guys aren't serviceable players still, but they're not the all-star players that they used to be. Darren Williams, who's supposed to be really, a big centerpiece, he's kind of on the backside of his career. And then you have the Lopez twin, who they were really hoping for. He's played maybe 2 out of 5 years he's been in the league, but when he plays, he's like 21 and 7 rebounds, so 21.7 rebounds average. So I mean, they thought he was going to really put them over the hill. I don't think he would have, because all those other players are already over the hill. Ba-dum. Ba-dum. We don't have that sound effect. Okay, but
I think you're getting.
But yeah, okay, I kind of deserve that one. So that's the first series that is wrapped up. The next series that is wrapped up, and this was kind of more of an unfortunate series to see wrapped up, and that was the San Antonio Spurs versus the Portland Trail Blazers. Now, that was another 4-1 series. Let me double check my notes. Yep, 4-1 series, yeah. So I really expected a little bit more out of LaMarcus Aldridge and Damian Lillard. They are still young. This is still one of their first go-rounds in the playoffs, so look for them to be back and really strong next year, but it's looking like San Antonio, they kind of look this way almost every year around this time, like they're invincible, like there's no weakness, there's no chink in the armor, there's no vulnerability, there's no 2-meter gap that you can shoot a torpedo through. Huh?
Yeah.
You get that reference? Chewbacca gets that reference. Let me hear it, Chewie.
Chewbacca does get that reference. He's chosen to ignore it.
But yeah, so yeah, that's happening, and I mean, Tony Parker, he left early in last night's game. They said it was something like a hamstring, but it sounds pretty much like he was like, I'm tired of playing. We're up by 20. I'm not going to play anymore. So yeah, he'll be fine for the next round, and that's probably going to be my prediction, OKC, who's actually playing the Clippers, and they are up right now in that series, 3-2. And you're really seeing Chris Paul take over as a leader when they win. When they lose, you're seeing Chris Paul kind of vanish off the floor. So it's been pretty interesting. Kevin Durant, he's been a little bit up and down, but he's more on the upswing right now. And you know what? He deserves a 1 or 2 down games because he is the best player ever this year in the playoffs. Yes, ever this year. There will not ever be any player better than Kevin Durant this year. That is why he won the MVP award. But yeah, I mean, if you
and the Chewbacca Chainsaw Award. Don't forget that.
He has won that one. He's won like 10 of those. Like the only person who's won more Chewbacca Chainsaw Awards is Chewbacca, and that's because I have to give him one every week, or else he gets very upset.
Well, it is his award, so
it is. He's like, why don't I get one? I'm like, I'm sorry, you do get one. I take it back. Here, you actually, can I just give a runner-up an award? Oh, okay, yeah. He actually goes and then nods his head, and so that's my signal that my arms will not be ripped off today. And that's a signal that they might be ripped off. So you never know.
Well, they might be chainsawed off today. Chainsaw.
It could go either way. It's never pretty. But let's talk about the series that are actually going on right now. And I'm going to look to my left real quick. And the Wizards are about to get bounced out of the playoffs. It's 89-76 with 1 minute left in the fourth. So that series, it was an entertaining series. You just kind of saw John Wall disappear. When he was on his game, the last game and the game one, they blew him out. I mean, it wasn't even close. They ran him up and down the floor. But John Wall just hasn't been able to find that consistency this year. And now you did see a resurgence of Roy Hibbert. He showed up really big in a couple games. He single-handedly won him game 2 with about 28 points and 9 rebounds, and he was just on fire. And then he kind of disappeared in some of their losses, but you're seeing him really come on an upward trend. And after the first series against the Atlanta Hawks, this Pacers team just looked like they were beat up. They just didn't have the will in them anymore, and it seems like they've kind of caught fire in this series against the Wizards. Now the Wizards, a great young team. They will be back next year. They will be better next year. So we're looking for them to really improve, but we're going to see the matchup that everybody thought we were going to see, and that's the Heat versus the Pacers. Now, this is really what's best for the NBA because these were the 2 best teams in the East. Now, in the West, you could look and say 1 through 6. You know, any one of those guys, 2 teams being in the finals, and you have a great finals with top talent teams. not so much in the NBA. If you were past 1 or 2, you weren't so great. So,
although it was surprising to see, like, the Wizards did much better than anyone expected. So they already achieved quite a bit this year by getting as far as they did in the playoffs.
I considered it, as a Wizards fan, I am a homer, as a Wizards fan, I pretty much considered it bonus basketball. That's what it was. It was bonus basketball for me. So I soaked up every minute that I could, and I was appreciative. So just winning against the Bulls, I didn't think they were going to win that one. Taking this one to 6 games, respectable. I appreciate that.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the last series we haven't talked about, it would be... Did we talk about them all? Did I talk about the Heat, Brooklyn? I did. Talk about them all. Never mind, I talked about them all. I'm like I said, I haven't slept in like a week, so I'm a little bit off my game today.
You forgot the special Chewbacca series.
The Chewbacca series, yeah. Well, he won that one. If you didn't know, they have already given Chewbacca the golden basketball, the NBA Finals award. He's already won that. This is the conciliatory rounds right now, because Chewbacca just shows up at any event he wants to, and they hand him a trophy. It's kind of his like pact with humankind. I will not rip off your arms as long as when I show up, you give me a trophy.
Sometimes he likes to sit in the stadiums though for each of the rounds of his own special bracket of rounds, and he's there. He sits around, and then at the end of the day, they give him some kind of award, like multiple times, like, oh, here's your marker for having won this game.
Congratulations, you won without even playing. And he goes, yes, I did. That's how he rolls.
That's right. Otherwise, he chainsaws some people.
Well, I mean, Chewbacca won every single platinum medal in the Olympics, and yeah, you didn't think there was platinum medals in the Olympics, but that's because Chewbacca already won them. So
every Olympics ever.
He won the March Madness tournament in February. That's right, a whole month before it even started, he won it. The Super Bowl, I mean, back last September, they were just like, here's the Lombardi Trophy. If you don't mind, we'd like to present it to somebody else in February just as for show. And he was like, I can do that. So he already won that one, They just announced that he won the Hart Trophy, which is NHL's MVP award. So that's pretty cool, too. Yeah. He has a really big trophy case, if you didn't know. I mean, like... It's humongous. It's the size of like most people's houses times 10. That's how big his.
People don't realize too. It has to be really massive because the awards that they give to Chewbacca are, of course, the higher level awards. So they're even bigger than the ones we usually see. All the ones we usually see are actually runner-up trophies.
That's what. Yeah, even though some of those are pretty big too. Nope, they're all runners-up to Chewbacca's awards. Yeah, like that giant Stanley Cup that they hold. Like it's humongous. Like I don't have enough camera space to do it that way. But that award that they give him, yeah, Chewbacca's is like 5 times bigger. He literally can put a keg of beer into his cup and then drink it all down within 2 seconds. That's one of Chewbacca's talents.
Little known fact.
We'll be dropping knowledge on you guys. Don't you love us? Words from my face, dropping knowledge. If you know any other Chewbacca knowledge, put it in the comments down below. Because, I even though I live with him, I try not to talk to him as much because he's pretty moody. And he also keeps me up at night, so kind of gets annoying. But, yeah. But that's the NBA Round 2 playoffs. And so we're looking at seeing Oklahoma City, my guess, to beat the Clippers, and you're going to see them play San Antonio, and then in the other side, the Eastern Conference Finals, you're going to have the Heat against the Pacers. So enjoy. We will be talking about them next week. You know it. We can't do a sports show without talking about the best sports event going on right now. Could we? Couldn't do that.
We could. You just wouldn't like to watch.
You just wouldn't listen to us after that. But let's move it on, and this is probably why most people clicked on this video, and that is because I'm going to give you my top 5 reasons why Johnny Manziel will fail. And now if you don't know who Johnny Manziel is, why did you click on the video? I'm just joking. I'm glad you did. But Johnny Manziel, just drafted, quarterback out of Texas A&M, won the Heisman as a freshman. He's had a pretty spectacular career. Just got selected 22nd by the Cleveland Browns. And let me just jump into it with reason number 1, Johnny Manziel will fail. Let's have do we have any like stamp sound effects, like a pound?
We
All right, maybe we should plan out the sound effects ahead of. Okay, that'll work. Maybe I should plan out the sound effects ahead of time. But
yeah,
so
I mean, it's hard for me to deal with this when you Told me nothing.
Yeah, I did tell him nothing. But so the first reason, and it's pretty obvious, and that's because he's going to Cleveland. That's why he'll fail. I mean, you really got to look at it. Cleveland, yeah, not the best record ever. Like lifetime record is pretty horrible. I think they might have one championship, and that's even counting before the Super Bowl happened. So if that, actually, I think they won the championship in like 1949.
I remember years ago seeing an NFL Monopoly board, and the Cleveland Browns were actually the income tax. We're not the
the luxury tax.
Yeah, they didn't even get a property.
You don't even get a property. We're gonna relegate you to over there. They should have made that's almost as bad as making them like the jail. Like that would have been better if they made them jail. You need to go to jail, which means go to Cleveland and watch your career just pitter out. Sorry. And now I've heard a lot of things like, oh, Cleveland's got a good defense, not good enough. But I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's go to reason number 2 why he's going to fail. It's pretty much how is he going to deal with the media? Now, in Texas A&M, he was the darling of that area. Everybody loved him. He was doing all types of stupid stuff, but they kind of let it go under the rug. Whenever he would leave the Texas A&M area, you'd hear about, oh, Johnny Manziel's partying too much. Oh, he left his training camp. Oh, he did that. He did this. And whenever he would be asked about it, he'd just be like, I'm a kid. I make mistakes. I do my thing. You know, I mean, which is all right because he is a kid. He can make mistakes. He'll do his thing. But what's going to happen when you have 10 different people scrutinizing every little word you say right in your face with a bright light and a bright camera and a microphone, and you better be politically correct. If you're not politically correct, you're going to get killed by the national media, by the local media, everything. So the spotlight has just gotten a million times bigger for Johnny Manziel. And I'm wondering to see if the antics keep up, because if they do, it will. I mean, TMZ is going to start going after this guy, and you don't want TMZ to go after you. Ask Jay-Z. He doesn't like TMZ.
Yeah, and you can't really use that I'm just a kid excuse anymore. Now you're a professional, okay? Yeah. Look, you're out of college. You're in the real world. Deal with it. Like, you really shouldn't have been able to use that excuse while you're in college. I mean, you're old enough to vote. You should be responsible enough to deal with it.
Pass while he's in college. Come on,
we can give him a little bit of a pass there, but definitely once you're a professional player, out of college and everything, that's not going to fly anymore. So,
But so we're going on to reason number 3 why Johnny Manziel will fail, and that is because he's not big enough. He's like 6 foot, 190 pounds, and at the style of play that this guy plays, he's more of a runner. He's trying to be more of an elusive back, and they just had their offensive line gutted. I believe they lost a tackle and a guard that were really, really big for them. So, I mean, this guy's going to have to scramble for his life. He's not quite that good at reading defenses, and he's not going to find the open receiver, not to mention his best receiver, probably the best receiver in the league last year, Josh Gordon, is going to be suspended for the whole next year. It's not going to help him. I mean, so he's going to be running for his life and take a bunch of hits. I mean, that's just as simple as that. If you look at RG3's rookie year, he was running for his life. He took a ton of hits. He got hurt. I mean, and he's, 40 pounds bigger? Yeah, he's about 6'3", 230 pounds. I mean, and he couldn't take that many hits. Think about what Manziel's going to do. He's just going to get steamrolled in the league. Not big enough. Sorry, Manziel. You just ain't big enough.
You're just a small man.
You are a small man. Even though if he came up to me, I'm 6'3", about 220 pounds, a little bit on the chubby side. But if he came up to me, he would still probably kick my butt. Yeah, I'm not trying to fight you, Johnny. You're big enough to beat me up, but not me and Brendan. Ha ha.
Ah, yeah. There's two of them.
And then if Chewbacca's behind, I'm really in trouble if Chewbacca's behind me, because that's just not going to be good for you, Chewbacca.
Yeah, we'll just step aside. I mean, we know, and we know how to get away from Chewbacca properly. We have some practice. You not so much.
There's a trick to it. You got to hum a certain song, and it kind of lulls them. Oh, I'm sorry. I won't let that one out. Sorry, Chewie. So let's move it on to reason. Yeah, he wasn't happy about that. He doesn't like when I let his secrets out of the bag. But let's move on to reason number 4. And this one is kind of my favorite reason why he's going to fail. And that's because if you look at the last 3 times that the Browns have drafted a quarterback in the first round, they've drafted each of these 2 quarterbacks with the same number 22 pick, and it was also the second pick in the first round for them. So back in, I believe it was 2007, they drafted quarterback Brady Quinn out of Notre Dame, who a lot of people thought had a lot of talent. He kind of fell down the draft, and they came in, they traded back in, and they swooped him up, and he was supposed to be the savior of Cleveland. Yeah, I think he lasted like a year and a half there, and then that was it. So that's not a good sign. Then the next time they picked a quarterback, they picked Brandon Weeden, actually last year or the year before, with the 22nd pick, and it was, again, their second pick in the first round, and Brandon Weeden has not done well at all. They put some guys, Brian Hoyer, if you remember him from last year, they made him the starter over Brandon Weeden, and he was an undrafted free agent, so that's an interesting one. Plus, Brandon Weeden was like 28 coming out of into the NFL, so it's like you're already past your prime years. Why would you draft that guy? Again, it's Cleveland. So now Johnny Manziel was picked with the 22nd pick again, and it was also the second pick in the first round that they had that year. So if you look at the trend, it's not looking good for you, Johnny. Sorry, buddy. Maybe if you were the 23rd pick, I might not have made this list. Or the 21st pick. Or hell, if you were the 27th pick, or just not picked in the first round, you might not have this list out here. But you were picked at the exact same position. Like, that is the Cleveland Browns' position of failure every time. So, good job. You got drafted in the position of failure. So that sucks for you.
Yeah,
Sorry
it's the Browns' curse. But wait, you said I thought you said he was a Heisman winner, wasn't he?
Yeah, when he was a freshman, he was a Heisman winner.
I'm surprised he wasn't picked up earlier. Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, again, college, there's a bigger disparity between athleticism of the elite players and the average players. In the NFL, that disparity is not there. Everybody is an elite player. So, in college, there's I believe about 116 teams in Division I football. There's only 32 teams in the NFL. And in Division I football, you can only play for 4 years. The NFL, you can play for 10, 15, 20. So, the pool gets so much smaller when you go from college to the NFL. You have to be just that much better than you were in the college ranks. So it's really, he's going to lose some of that speed. He's not going to lose the speed, but it's not going to look as fast against some of these other players. Like, you see linemen, Jadeveon Clowney runs faster than Johnny Manziel. I believe he ran a 4.3 and Johnny Manziel ran a 4.40 at the combine this year. So, I mean, when you're looking at 290-pound guys who run just as fast as you, you don't see that in college very often. So, yeah, that's another, that'll be reason 6. Because people are faster. But let's finish off the list with my reason number 5, and that is because he's going to Cleveland. Yeah, I know that was reason number 1, but it's also reason number 5. You have to bookend it in there. Because Cleveland, I mean, the last time they had a winning season, I believe, was about 2002, 2003. And, yeah, didn't work out for them. Yeah, that's it. You go to Cleveland, you lose. I think that's about the bookmark.
Yeah, you get that luxury tax.
I mean, Monopoly has it right. They didn't even give you a property. They're like, you're not really here. I mean, that's why they moved the team out of there in the mid-'90s, because they're like, who cares? And then they move over to Baltimore, and then they suddenly became a winning franchise, and then they put another franchise back in Cleveland.
That city's just cursed. I'm sorry, guys.
I'm trying to think of any championships that city has won. Cavaliers, the Cleveland Cavaliers, their basketball team, I don't remember them winning a championship. The Cleveland Indians, it's probably been at least 20 years since they've won a championship, if not longer than that, because I can't really remember one. So sorry, Cleveland.
The closest thing I remember for the Indians was a movie about the team where someone was trying to keep their record low because it was so bad anyway, just so they could
Major League. Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah. So, because they wanted to sell the team and move them. So that's pretty much the story of Cleveland. Now they do have the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's nice.
Bonus points. But that doesn't explain why nobody wants to live there.
I mean, I'm sure someone wants to, like Drew Carey likes living there, I guess.
I guess he does sing that song that says Cleveland Rocks, so yeah. Maybe Manziel will come out in the games to Cleveland Rocks. But, yeah, sorry, Manziel. I just don't see a good future for you. But, But you know what? I think that's about it. That's all the things we wanted to talk about today. I hope you're informed. And right now, the Clippers are winning 4-1. So we're probably going to see that one go to a Game 7 if we're lucky, because everybody loves Game 7s. So, but next week, like I said, we have our theme song debuting. It's by a group called Tuesday Night Special. And just so happens that next Tuesday, remember, we will be on next Tuesday, not this Monday like normal, and that's because, again, I'll be in a car for 12 hours. I'll be a zombie. I'll be even worse than I look right now.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah, that would be pretty bad. So I'm going to save you all the pain of having to stare at my face, because you just want to hear the words from them. Oh. But as always, I am Brian. With me, as always, producer extraordinaire Brendan.
Yo.
And we are signing out. But before we sign out, I'm going to throw another surprise at producer extraordinaire Brendan. Let's give him like the first 10 seconds of our intro, just a sneak peek.
All right, I don't know. All right, we'll do it.
Fade it out. Fade it out after like 10 seconds.
I'll see what I can do.
There we